From the Cardinal Television Studio, I'm Adelisa Badzik with your Fisher News Brief. Police in Dadeville, Alabama say they have strong leads on a suspect in Saturday's deadly mass shooting at a Sweet 16 birthday party. 4 people were killed and more than 24 injured, including several students. According to police, law enforcement officials have now identified the 4 who lost their lives, 2 of whom were seniors at Dadeville High School. Witnesses say gunfire broke out in the venue where Saturday's party was being held, but what started it? No one, including investigators, has yet been able to say. And it wasn't the only shooting of a teen or mass shooting in the country this weekend. Laura Aguirre brings us more.
These children had very bright futures, very, very athletic, very humble children.
Gun violence ripping through more American communities. Students in Dadeville, Alabama, begin their week remembering classmates and friends killed and wounded Saturday after gunfire erupted at a Sweet 16 birthday party.
Phil just actually got a scholarship to play football at Jacksonville State University.
Phil is Philstavius Dowdell, the older brother of the birthday girl. Also killed, Sean Kivia, or Kiki Smith, a senior who was involved in track and had plans to attend the University of Alabama. Police named the other 2 killed as 19-year-old Marcia Collins and 23-year-old Corbin Holston.
This doesn't happen in Dadeville, Alabama. This is not who we are. We are a loving community.
Justice for Ralph! Another teen shot this weekend, this time in Kansas City.
Justice!
Police there working to unravel how an address mistake ended with a boy being shot.
He is alive and he's healing.
The aunt of 16-year-old Ralph Yarl, surrounded by supporters protesting her nephew's shooting. Police say Yarl accidentally went to the wrong address Sunday to pick up younger siblings and was shot by the homeowner. That homeowner was arrested and released after a 24-hour hold as police gather more evidence. I'm Laura Aguirre reporting.
Gun control advocates marched in Washington, D.C. Monday, calling for a federal assault weapons ban. The rally was called SOS, Save Our Students. The movement was started shortly after the mass shooting in Highland Park, Illinois, that killed 7 people and wounded a dozen more. There have been over 100 school shootings and nearly 150 mass shootings so far in 2023. As Congress returns from spring break, lawmakers are starting down a long list of critical issues to tackle. At the top, raising the nation's debt ceiling. But what should be a simple procedural move is now a complicated political football with potential real-world implications. For your wallet, Mike Valerio explains what you can do to protect yourself from the fallout of a possible debt ceiling showdown.
Well, good evening. And even the threat of a default happening sometime this summer could potentially impact our ability to get a loan, pay off our mortgages, and even perhaps receive Social Security payments.
A financial crisis may be looming.
If it did happen, it would have very, very negative impact.
As lawmakers in Washington have yet to come to an agreement on raising the nation's debt ceiling.
I understand the politics, but there is a time when the higher interest of a nation has to prevail.
Democrats are seeking a clean bill to increase the country's borrowing capacity. But House Republicans want to leverage their slim majority to win concessions on spending from the White House.
A no-strings-attached debt limit increase will not pass.
That kind of discussion, the cuts, belongs in a discussion about the budget, not as a precondition for avoiding default.
A default on U.S. debt payments would cut off the U.S. Treasury from borrowing, potentially affecting Social Security payments, veterans benefits, and federal employees' salaries, among others. To guard your finances in case of a potential default, Bankrate's Greg McBride advises paying down your debt and building up emergency savings.
Unfortunately, we're hostage to this because there aren't a whole lot of action steps that we as consumers can take to fully insulate ourselves.
And says the political brinksmanship alone is damaging.
Even if it gets solved at the 11th hour, markets get nervous. And when that happens, there's less incentive or less appetite for risk.
And there is still the open question of when exactly the country would hit the X date of when the Treasury runs out of extraordinary measures to pay off debt. Analysts say that X date could be anywhere between early June to early September. That's the latest from here. I'm Mike Valerio. Back to you.
Representative George Santos says he will seek re-election in 2024, defying the calls from some Republicans on Capitol Hill and in his district to step aside. The embattled GOP congressman announced his candidacy Monday for New York's 3rd Congressional District. Santos has admitted to lying extensively about his resume, education, and family background, and now faces federal and local investigators into his finances. As a result, senior Washington Republicans have told members of their party that they will not let Santos be the nominee for his seat. Still, he has maintained that he has no intention of stepping down and is now officially running for office again. SpaceX has scrubbed its first launch of the most powerful rocket ever made due to a technical issue. The company says Starship with the Super Heavy rocket booster isn't quite ready to live up to its name. SpaceX says a pressurization issue forced it to call off Monday's inaugural flight after years of testing and conduct this rehearsal launch instead. SpaceX says it could try the launch again in 2 days from South Texas over the Gulf of Mexico. Starship is massive, with 33 engines. CEO Elon Musk described Starship as the vehicle that underpins SpaceX's founding purpose, sending humans to Mars for the first time. A relaxed homeowner and a curious bear share a very close encounter caught on camera, and it's hard to tell who is more frightened. Jeremy Roth has today's Take a Look at This.
Prepare to watch a guy in a chair and a curious bear give each other a scare in North Carolina. Yeah. That's what David Oppenheimer says happened as he was chillin' on his Asheville porch. A curious black bear wandered up, and in a humorous caught-on-camera moment, the pair appeared to startle each other, prompting the uninvited guest to scamper off. Thankfully, the scene wasn't grisly. See what I did there? In fact, Oppenheimer says the lounge chair bear scare was just the latest visit by this woodland creature, which he says frequents the neighborhood often and is very peaceful. A startling scene had a happy ending in Colorado Springs thanks to firefighters who worked to free 4 dogs trapped in a storm drain. You can hear barking from the drain grate after firefighters say the dogs entered the steep drain system while chasing a critter and were unable to climb back out. The owner called 911 and crew members freed the 4 pups, which they say appeared uninjured. Finally, no one appeared scared, more confused by their interactions with these robotic trash cans in New York City. It was all part of a study by Cornell University researchers to see how people treat roboticized everyday objects. The cans were controlled remotely by researchers observing the interactions, which ranged from warm to wary. The research could potentially be used to inform future robotic studies, but why trash cans? One researcher said, "Are you kidding? It's New York. You have to do trash." For Take a Look at This, I'm Jeremy Roth.
That's it for today's news. For Fisher's News Brief, I'm Adelisa Badzik.